UnDaoDu, UnDaoDu, UnDaoDu. I'm UnDaoDu. How are you? Undo yourself and others around you with a laugh and a smile. Don't let anyone upset you, and try to bring a smile to those. Dao, help. If you can, someone in need. And finally, help yourself, help others, right? That's what Daos do. They help. And finally, do be of service and share what you have with others, whether it's your knowledge, like I am today with you, whether it's your wealth, if you're lucky enough to have it, your health. Share and serve. UnDaoDu. UnDaoDu. I'm UnDaoDu. Here in the heartland of Buddhism, near EIAH, not far over there, greeting the sun as it rises. And in September 2004, not far, I lived on the other side of here. Before I chanted, before I was UnDaoDu, before I was rebirthed with ayahuasca, thank you, Brock, I asked 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And can I find, UnDaoDu, and the do, can I find the evidence in science? It was the same question that I asked about religion. Is there a God? Is there a God? Why are there so many gods and religions out there? And is there a unifying theory that brings them all together? UnDaoDu. Anthropology has long contended that that somehow these soft, squishy bodies grew up in small packs out in the savannah, which wasn't a savannah, it was actually turned into quite tropical, right? According to the fauna evidence. And somehow, just with the desire of hunting, we learned to look over the grass. that we can't explain why we have blubber. Like when you cut into a chimp, the first thing you find is muscle. When you cut into a human, the first thing you find is fat, is subcutaneous fat. Why? The model couldn't explain that. How does that happen in the savannah? Oh, why is our nose, designed for water to kind of spill around it, right? And so when we dive into the water, a chimp tries. Have you ever seen a chimp dive into the water? No. They'll wade. Oh, look, they're standing upright. So I wonder if you spend hours and hours and years and thousands of years in the water, what would happen to your spine? What would happen to your pelvis area? What would happen to these things? It would straighten. Your nose wouldn't be open, would come down. How is it that we can see underwater? Our eyes have developed in order to see underwater. How is that possible? Whereas no other primates have that ability, have eyes. Our vocal cords, our voice The only other creature that has the control, the reason why a parrot has a control and can make the sounds and everything that we do, is wind control, is breath control. This breath control is developed by holding our breath in the water. Can the anthropologists or the evidence prove that? No, they can't. What else? Why are we hairless? Because it causes drag. We got to get away from that shark. Why do we have this innate fear of sharks? Right? Why can a baby, we throw a newborn in the water and it holds its breath underwater? Let's try to do that with any other primate. It's not gonna hold its breath. It's not gonna float. The subcutaneous flat layer also provides us buoyancy, so we can float, right? We can lay there. One of the things that Elaine Morgan, and back in 2004, I downloaded all the great teaching lessons. It was over, I don't know, I can't remember. It was huge. It was a huge file. And I sat there listening. And I listened to one of the books that I listened to as I walked around. I didn't chant back then. I walked around just with my old iPod, big thick thing, silver thing with a little wheel on it, listening to all of these different things. Because I said, you know, if I'm going to answer these three questions, I'm going to have all the information just thrown into my head. I didn't need to learn it. I knew that I just needed to absorb it. So it was in my unconscious mind. So I'd walk around listening. One of the books I listened to was about the Galapagos, about the radical evolution that occurred on the island, right? And that islands have radical evolutions. It's funny because when I was looking at the MSC, which is the missing link, which I'm going to talk about, deals with the desalinization of the Mediterranean. Actually, in Mallorca, Minorca next, and it's probably Mallorca. I grew up, I laughed. In Mallorca, they found this big ass rabbit that shouldn't be there, that grew massive on Mallorca because there was no predators. No predators, right? Why did our babies grew so lazy and fat over time? Because we simply, this is something that Elaine could answer, and I answered in an email back in 2009, is because all the mom would have to do is scoop a big hole, like a natural cradle, right, in the sand, under a shade. She's out hunting, looking for mollusks, you know, nearby. Put the baby on its back, and she would be nearby, listening and hunting and feeding. And we grew up without any predators, just like that big old bunny that they found in the Balearic Islands, where I grew up. Even more evidence on the fat baby. I just made that connection right now, right here, right? The fat baby. Evidence right there. The fat bunny and the fat baby. That's in there. That's evidence that we can apply to us. Now, the evidence of, where's the evidence? Where are the bones? Well, they're under meters of sediment in the Red Sea. So, and Easter Island, and next I listened to a book on Easter Island where how the heck did mankind get all the way to Easter Island and then ate himself off the island? What we're doing right now is the Ouroboros, the snake eating itself. We are the head of the snake devouring the planet. And that is the message that Shigamatra, the awoke one that passed on her awokeness to UnDaoDu, who sits at the center of the Mayan calendar. I'm UnDaoDu, who is on this massive Mayan zodiac prophecy, the biggest thing on it. And they're asking what happens on 12/21/12. It was that guy, the big guy, awakening, had nothing to do with the end, who will be able to come forth and share and tell you and answer and give you this story. A storyteller is returning, UnDaoDu. telling how things came together in ancient times. So as soon as, and then I listened to Elaine Morgan, who took her idea from Alistair Hartley, who in the 1920s first proposed the idea of AAT, which I think is ironic because that's also the Aquatic Ape Theory is also the AAT is also used in anthropology. So they're really clever to take the same synonym, kind of like what Christianity did, right, with Christmas. What they did, how they hijacked it, how Hartley hijacked the Darwin, because AAT is also applied to Darwin, and how even the acronym now for both of them have merged. And he waited 30 years, just as I waited, I had to wait, until a tool arrived for me to help me in my research. Because after I heard the Easter Island Ape, I was like, that's exactly, well, look at the radical evolution that happens on islands. There is, look at the birds of paradise that evolved out of a simple crow. Look at this bunny rabbit that evolved on an island, look at what the finches, even with Darwin, talked about the finches and how they did radical evolution that happened on that island. Look at the old Suzumebachi, the giant hornet out of Japan, evolved on an island of Japan, right? Predators, remote, mountainous, right? Regions where they could evolve without any threat of predators. They became huge and massive, our babies. And then, years later, I had come up with this. I knew the answer. I'm sitting there around in 2009, and understand, I came up with this theory back in 2004, 2005, walking around as I'm right now listening to it, and I was like, this is how we evolved. And it made sense to me. None of this other shit made sense looking up over, but this made sense to me. I like this Elaine Morgan. And then I heard her TED Talk, and she says, there's three things that's going to happen. I can't remember one, I can't remember the third, but number two was like, that some genius will come along and say, I got it, and here's the answer. So I emailed her. I was like, I'm that genius. The problem was, I wasn't the genius. The open AI Da Vinci 3 is the genius, right? I just happened to listen to 3 books that brought the 3 things together from a point of view, just like the guy who looked in the microscope and saw all this stuff that no one else saw, right? And he just started emailing, saying, hey, did you see this? And did you see that? Did you see all this? And the guys was like, what is this guy talking about? As he started looking at what inside the poop of their poop and the poop of their neighbor, and he just started looking at everything in a microscope, right? Looking at it all in there. I'm kind of like that guy. Out in the heartland of Zen Buddhism, listen to books, gets the 3 things together. It's always UnDaoDu, right? UnDaoDu. Makes a connection, sends an email, and she says, I really like your Easter Island hypothesis, because she kind of pushed away everything else. And she's an old lady, there's nothing else I could do. Well, last week, after hearing about, text Da Vinci 3, which is, you may have heard of Chat GTV, right? Same thing, text Da Vinci. It's this AI program available by Open AI, Open Beneficial AI. I just started playing with it. And I was like, wow, and started looking. And the sea level rises and falls were really good, right? Over time, sea levels rose and rise, right, over the thing. And I kind of picked out the area, kind of the same distance that Easter Island Ape was, kind of far enough out from, and I knew it had to be northeast out there, northeast of Ethiopia, Somalia, south of Yemen, in that area. Coming, and I said, you know, that you know, the Gulf of Aden that flows into the Red Sea, that's important. Because all this water would have been in the Mediterranean, and I wasn't thinking about this desalinization of the Mediterranean being the missing link, right? I mean, why would it ever affect the Red Sea? I mean, it happened in the Mediterranean. I didn't even know about the desalinization. That was what Da Vinci, this genius, told me. And I started looking at it, and there's this also, and then basically 630 years later, 630,000 years later, there's this event of flooding, right? That they say so much water that it actually washed over, you know. It actually washed over. It actually washed over the island of Socrates. So I knew Socrates important. Socrates also has evidence of hominoids there. Not hominoids, yeah. Of later of us. So the fact that it was there, and I was like, God, it looks like, and I look at the Google satellite map of the area, and I was like, dude, it's shallow. I mean, if the waters were lower, it'd be perfect for this area. This area is like far enough out. The sheets, you know, when Elaine Morgan wrote me back, she mentioned this Dakar area. And I looked at Dakar and I was like, ah, it's too close. Too close. What happened? Oh, look, what is that over there? I mean, it's like from here to over there. Well, if I could see the fucking land, right? It had to be far enough out that I couldn't see the land, but it's there. Right? It's too far away. Dakar, I could see the land over there, right? And I'd be like, what's over there? And the first bad time, a bad drought or whatever, I'd be like, all right, time to jump on the dolphins. Let's get over there. Let's get over there, right? You wouldn't be able to see the line. It had to be at this Goldilocks distance, just far enough out that we would stay there. So we can't see anything else, maybe smell, maybe hear on occasion. We could hear, that's part of the story. But close enough that if should some catastrophe happen, we would get off and get there. Right? And that's what happened some 400,000 years ago. We got there. We landed on there. That's Africa, right? But we would have been way much further. We would probably been closer to, you know, halfway out towards freaking, that way is, for me is Korea. Halfway out to Korea, right? So we've been way further out there. And the Seychelles, the Seychelles Islands also would be my second choice. The thing is, they're too far south, and all the archaeological evidence is north towards Ethiopia, so it has to be more north. Seychelles, and there's nothing. If you look, you know, at southern, they found everything in Kenya, Somalia area. They didn't have all of, you know, Somalia is my part of Kenya. Or Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, all that area there, this is the area. So it has to be over there. I was like, it's gotta be. And then I looked at the map, and if you look at Google Map and zoom in on Socrates, which is part of Yemen, you can see the Isles. It's like, dude, there they are. They're the fucking Isles right there. And I looked at it, and I actually did this map for my book, you know. I was like, that's where the Isles are. And the Easter Island hominin Isles, that's where they are, right there. And but then the problem I had is the evidence. How do you get the evidence, right? The water levels would have to go down significantly, real significant down there, in order for that place to be revealed. UnDaoDu. And sure enough, there was an event, and this was the missing link, right? That I discovered today, on this day, it's like 1 or 2 in the morning. I discovered The desalinization of the millions sucked all the water out of the Gulf of Aden and pretty much drained the Red Sea. It drained it anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 meters. Drained it. All of the area that I'm looking at would have been revealed, would have been islands. Imagine all of a sudden, here we are. Here it is. So it goes from, you know, it would have been potted like this, and these pools would have been food, so much food, and these very creative ancestors of ours, these hominids, right? And I call them monk apes, right? This is the two. Imagine them. They would have been massive as far as you could see. It would be like this. And these apes started to, as the water went down, started the north of Ethiopia, we've been working their way down, working there, and just eating and feasting and eating all the crustaceans and just having a smorgasbord of, of food. And for 663 years, 663,000 years, it was like this. It was like this. This whole new area was opened up. And think about all the different primates came in here and were eating and eating and eating. And now imagine around this area were mountains, were these hills and stuff around, right? That were once underwater and everything else. And you had to explore and everything else, and be climbing and then fighting for territory. And then over time, it started to grow. There'd been grasses. It would have been savanna. They would be also hiding. Imagine, you know, hanging out in these hot, salty pools too. And our love for water, nice and warm and salty and buoyant, kind of having the Black Sea as far as you can see, you know, out there. And for 600,000 years, it would be that way. And then eventually, you know, areas would start growing up, grassy. And I was like, I got it. This was the event. And then what happened 600,000 years later, there was a massive flood that happened. And it was so much water that came down the Red Sea when what happened was all the glaciers melted. The basin that was slowly filled up and filled up and filled up, that had been drained. So imagine now, where did all this water come from? Now, 600 meters of water. 600 meters of water came flying into it because the basin, which had been empty for 600,000 years, filled up with all the melting glaciers that happened in Europe, and then the Atlantic Ocean refilled it, and it had so much water that as the water came in, it would have been like a tsunami. What happened? We didn't have it here, but it happened in Japan, where it would have been low, and then everyone would have scurried, right? The primates would have been smart. They would have scurried up the hills and the mountains as the tsunami came in. And I don't know if the she's actually, something I can ask Da Vinci is if those flooding affected the seashells. Haha, that's something to invent. I bet it didn't. So that probably takes away the seashells. They're too far south. I just answered something. One of the things, another reason. I just answered it. And they would have scurried up these now they're mountains now, and where the big waters would have been for fishing. And imagine 600,000 years for developing simple fishing skills using their hands, reaching in. Why did our thumbs develop the way they are, right? Our thumbs would have been the first thing to develop because of the tedious nature of fishing out fish bones, right? You ever eaten fish? Fucking fish bones. Have you ever gotten a fucking bone or an oyster shell in your throat? You would develop this thumb, right? Because how many of our hominids ancestors fucking died and choked on an oyster shell or on a fish bone or something, right? I wonder. So I got the proof. this for the Easter Island hominid. Back in 2009, when I set up the Facebook group, I called it Easter Island Ape because actually I didn't know what hominid was. I can tell you what a hominid was last week, right? Hominid. Everyone's gonna know what a hominid is, but everyone knows what an ape is. An ape is a hominin, but all hominids aren't apes, right? It is the common ancestor between the apes and the monkeys and the great apes. Great apes are hominids, right? The common ancestor. Easter Island Ape. So on Facebook, there's Easter Island Ape. I'm going to be posting this video on it. So the genius Da Vinci AI, the genius that Elaine Morgan laughed at having, the young genius, because it is young, it is on 0202, was able for me to easily stitch together my hypothesis. And I'm going to link below the research paper that I'm also writing about it. I'm reaching out now. I'm taking this idea, and if you like this idea, if you know anyone who's an anthropologist, show them this video, right? This is what I want to do for Elaine. Remember UnDaoDu. So we live in the state of darkness. The anthropologists right now are all in the state of Their theory is an It's unsubstantiated. It is And I want to undo it with your help. Undo it. Right? Dao is to awaken, to help, help others understand what the aquatic ape theory is. Here it is. Here comes the do. Right on schedule. God, how did I plan this? How did I plan? UnDaoDu. Do is share and serve, and what I want to do is, if the aquatic Easter Island ape, Easter Island hominin hypothesis, okay, I believe is going to become the do for anthropology. And it's going to be what people want to be talking about, the Easter Island Ape Hypothesis. And imagine if 80% of the revenue developed from the Easter Island Ape Hypothesis that I shared with Elaine back in 2009 after watching her video, who asked for a genius, and I had to wait until now for that genius to come about, being AI, right? 80% would go to fund the Elaine Morgan Foundation for the discovery, research and development, of the aquatic ape theory, right? And that I don't want to be on this foundation. Right? I'm reaching out to folks like you. Share this video. You, if you're an anthropologist, if you believe in the aquatic ape theory, I invite you. I invite you to, if anyone agrees to this as an open sourcing of this knowledge, this information, you agree that 80% of the funds would go there. 20%, 10% goes to me. The other 10% share with anyone else who wants to perpetuate, right, out of this copyright, this knowledge, right, this thing. So 80% goes to Elaine and the foundation and supporting the aquatic ape theory. 20% is shared with the authors. I get 10% of the gross profit, right? That's right. I'm sharing 80. Usually I keep 20, in this case 10. UnDaoDu. So I believe the aquatic, the Easter Island ape hominin, hypothesis. Easter Island ape. Everyone knows what Easter Island is. It's a great thing. All right, books called the Easter Island Ape. I want to develop the first book or paper called the Easter Island Ape. I've done all the research for you. If you are an anthropologist, if you love Elaine Morgan and you want to take my work and put it into a theoretical paper and put it out there and share it and reach out for grants and everything else, okay, for developing the research and work and everything else, you're welcome to it. But 80% goes to Elaine, 10% goes to me, right? And the other 10%, goes to you or anyone else who does the work, whoever shares, right? That's the doing a verbal agreement here on it. So there's very clear. I know this is right. I finally have the evidence. I just need someone, and I'm not an anthropologist. I don't need my name on the, on the book. If you don't want to put my name, UnDaoDu. I want UnDaoDu. It wouldn't be my name. Wouldn't be. I don't care about Michael J Trout. It's UnDaoDu. UnDaoDu revealed. Because ultimately, it is Shigamatra. UnDaoDu. It's Shigamatra with the help of ayahuasca that took me through, and I've lived through the 5 ages of man. When I did ayahuasca, I started in the state of, it was weird, the state of, I went backwards through time, right? But I demorphed from the first stage to the state of the, I looked at my hand, and it was a hominin's hand now. I didn't know, it was like an ape's hand. It was a hominin's hand, right? I looked down. As a hominin ancestor, I was a monk ape. And then I went from a monk ape, went all the way down, and I turned into this, it was like, I turned into this, I was this energy, green, it was vibrant. I'm like, what am I, where am I? It dawned on me, this is plant. So I've lived through it, so it's Shigamatra. I hope you enjoyed this talk. Share it with others, comment below, reach out to me, like the Facebook Aquatic Ape, Easter Island Ape Hypothesis. Check it out, UnDaoDu. I'm gonna go chant now to the sun. I'm gonna end this video and do my chanting later.